Hi, welcome to Help with Hannah Jones. I'm Hannah Jones. Thank you, Patreon patrons, for making this podcast possible, and thanks Dude IDK Studios in Denver, where we're recording. This is a podcast where I answer your questions, Dear Abby style, and I have a guest in the studio today to help me do that. She's a regular at Denver Comedy Works and tours all around the country. Put your hands together for Georgia Comstock.
I can't hear you. Okay.
I do that every week. Every week it's the same. I accidentally say, put your hands together. And then every week it's just a little bit uncomfortable. Definitely more uncomfortable if you're listening to the same joke every time.
How do people usually react?
They're just like,
hello.
No instant feedback now, dude. How have you been, Georgia? How's your week?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just got back from the beach with my family, which we were talking about a little bit for a second. I took so many plane rides to get there. Do you ever choose a layover for the deal because it's so much cheaper?
No, I go nonstop no matter what if I can.
Every adult does. Everybody that I know.
I'll just do the 5 a.m.
I do that too.
But nonstop.
I'm like, let me travel from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. This sounds like a fun day.
Ugh.
And I got a middle seat on a couple of my flights. And a middle seat between ladies is no big deal. But a middle seat between two old businessmen, busy businessmen with briefcases. And you know the problem there is that they both think they're like, I paid for a window seat so I get the armrest, and I paid for the middle seat so I get the armrest. It's like I think they fully expect me to sort of sit like this the whole time.
Do you take Southwest?
No. Certainly not.
I do take Southwest. I'm a Southwest stan, if that's the thing. But you know what you have to do is you look for people who look like they could be a couple, and then you sit in between them, and then half the time they'll give you the other seat.
You're so smart. No, I've never flown Southwest, and I only just recently heard about the fact that I used to fly United a lot, but it exploded in Denver. And so now usually Delta or Frontier or some ungodly combination of the two.
See, Frontier I hate because they cancel flights. I feel like Frontier I do when I'm like, okay, well, this is coming out of my pocket. And if I'm doing it for something, then I try to get the cheapest flight with Frontier. And then if it's canceled, I'm like, well, it's canceled. Otherwise, I always do Southwest because it's just the cheapest. And I like the seat system.
Yeah.
And as long as you check in, you can get I don't mind sitting in the back. I don't mind waiting to get off the plane. I don't really care.
I sit in the worst seat no matter what. But I always get those tickets where you're not even allowed to have a carry-on.
Oh,
and you just pack in a backpack, and then you have to put your backpack in a little rectangle, and then
I'm like, this is my purse. It's my back
purse. It's got 3 pairs of shoes tied on the outside. I'm like, this is literally my purse.
I'm wearing 2 sweatshirts and some boots. I'm like, this is good.
Yeah, anything to save money, dude.
And Frontier does it now. If you buy the ticket, it's $25 for a carry-on, and I'm like, whatever, I'll pay that later if I want. And then you go to do it later, and it's $75.
Yeah. Well, there was that thing where people started freaking out on TikTok and stuff because there were videos of gate agents suddenly making you actually size your bag, which you used to not have to do. And my backpack, I could definitely squish it in there, but it's going to take some time. Mm-hmm. And they said you can't assist it sliding into the thing. It has to slide into the thing free of any outside force. And everyone was like, why the fuck is this gate agent going for employee of the month? And they said no, they put them on commission. You get a commission if you're a Frontier gate agent. This is just what I heard allegedly from TikTok comments. And you get a commission if you catch people and you charge them for carry-ons.
Oh my god,
which is so nuts.
What a monster.
It's such a monster.
See, Southwest gives you 2 free bags. You could potentially check golf clubs for free.
2 free bags? Where do they get all the space?
I don't know. I don't know if it... Well, you get your carry-on and you get... they can be check bags, too. And then if they run out of space... Oh, yeah, if they run out of space, they'll just be like, anyone volunteer to check your bag? And they'll check it for free. And sometimes you can get a voucher or something like that because they need the space. But that's why you would want to get on earlier, so that you could definitely fit your bag. Otherwise, they'll have to take it below.
I'm scared of checking my bag because if they lost it, I would be such a little baby about it,
Yeah.
and I don't want everyone in my life to know how much of a baby I am.
Yeah. I feel that way too, and I'm always just like, these are just like the leggings I like. I don't want to lose them. I paid a lot of money for these.
This skincare product isn't sold in all the Targets. It's only some of the Targets, and if I Amazon Prime it, it won't always come very
I
fast.
feel like I'm justifying very small items to be like, I can't replace them.
Yeah.
Even though you could, I'm just like, no.
Sometimes I think about the apocalypse, if I can't get like the food and toiletry items that I like, or like the clothing items that I like, and I just have to like walk into the dollar store and like hope they have a face wash. I'm like, I'll just
That's what you're
just
like.
end it for me. I'll walk right up to a zombie and say, here you go.
I love that in the apocalypse, you're like, my skin's dry.
No,
I'd rather be dead.
you heard it here first. I would rather be dead than I wouldn't.
I would just, if there was an apocalypse of any kind, I'm like, I'm not living for survival. I'm like
No?
living for a good time. I'm not like, if there's an apocalypse, count me out.
I think if there's an apocalypse, I will immediately do all of the hardest drugs.
You gotta try everything.
Yeah, I don't want to die not knowing what heroin feels like.
Honestly, probably a good way to go.
Yeah,
Probably
the
a good
best
way to go. Yeah. You know, but now, unless you know definitely where to get the heroin, now you're like in an apocalypse texting
So
people being like,
I
you
have
got that
to
hookup
stockpile
still?
just a little bit of every hard drug. Some people have
Like-
canned food. I have just a pharmacy.
Like texting people you haven't talked to in 5 years, like, hey, do you still have hydros or?
Can I get just a teeny bit of DMT? Just for in
Ooh,
case of the
yeah.
apocalypse.
DMT would be a good one to do too.
Okay, you ready
You
to
could do
get in?
DMT anyway. That's not really a hard drug.
Yeah, I'm scared of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you just do it right. I think
Yeah,
that'd be
that's how I
fun.
generally feel about psychedelics, but it's a stronger one, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's definitely like, I feel like when I've done it, Nick and I will do it and I'll like take it out of the bong and then Nick will like grab the bong and then you're just like in it for like the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, don't you lose track of time? So it's
Yeah.
only a little while, but it feels like, because I heard about this guy in college who did too much DMT and had a trip where it was only 10 minutes, but in his life, he felt that he lived out the entire life of a toaster. And when he came back, he was never the same. Which, and now that I'm saying
Okay,
it,
dude.
That sounds like a lie that you tell the homeschooled girl to be funny. It doesn't sound real
And
anymore.
They're going to be so happy when they hear that you've been repeating it like
Yeah.
all these years. Lived
Because
out the
I
life
didn't even
of-
hear
what's
it
the life
from
of a
him.
to-
I heard it from a friend of his.
What is the life of a toaster like?
a lot of
until-
bing.
That's why he's just toast and toast for years
Some
and years and years
Eggos,
and years.
some Wonder
Or
Bread.
does he have like a toaster wife? Like what kind of life
No,
is
his
he living
wife
out?
is the Vitamix next door.
I think you're gonna really laugh when you try DMT eventually, and it
'Cause
is
not
short,
that
but it's
intense.
not that. Yeah, it's not that. It's not gonna take you. It's not like the Rick and Morty where he like goes through Ron's life in a video game and then is like devastated. But I do think it's crazy that now people have DMT in pens, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like the right way to take it, or the kind of drug you would want to just like hit off of a pen.
that's too casual.
But there's no way you could get that deep of a
Imagine-
trip off of a pen, but why would you just want like a little...
When I think of pins, I immediately think of the absolute epidemic of people like sneaking them into comedy works.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining someone sneaking a DMT pin into a fucking
Oh my
show.
God. They just
The
lose
heckles
their
that would come out
mind.
of their fucking mouth.
I do love the look on people's faces. They hit the vape and then they're like...
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can't hit that in here.
And then you make direct eye contact, and I just make like a disapproving look.
Tiny head shake.
Okay, before we get into questions, a couple of announcements. Number one, I have shows coming up September 21st in Oakland, San Francisco, October 6th in Chicago. Please, please, please get tickets to those. I'm renting my own venue,
And so I want to do Boston and Portland and Seattle and San Diego because you guys have a lot of signups too. But if I can't sell out these shows, then it's going to be very hard business plan wise. So you could send the link to a friend that you have who's living in that city. That's an idea. In general, you can find tickets to upcoming shows at the link in my bio. I'm hitting Austin, Des Moines, Bisbee, and Tucson additionally this fall. So please sign up for the text list. It's the best way to know if/when I'm coming to your city. Number 2, this podcast is sponsored by the Patreon. Patrons have first priority to get their questions answered, and they also receive a bonus episode every month, and it's only $3, which is such a steal. You can get a carry-on bag for $3 at a you couldn't get a carry-on bag for $3. I'm going to cut the part of the episode every week where I try to do like a little bit about how cheap it is.
What could you get for $3?
2 tacos.
Yeah.
With tax included.
Tacos are tiny, so great deal.
So true. If you want to ask a question to get answered in a future episode, you can find the link to that form in the podcast description or in my link tree on all social media platforms. Are you ready for question number 1?
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm very qualified.
How do I start dating as a late bloomer? I just turned 30, male, and last year I broke up my arranged marriage that was orchestrated within a conservative cult that I was heavily indoctrinated in since I was 4, which I also escaped last year. And suffice to say, I haven't had any intimate relationships with anyone, including the person I was supposed to marry. Haven't had sex, kissed, or even gone on a date. Long story short, been going to therapy and the gym, and now I feel confident enough to try dating and having casual sex with women. Should I bring up the fact that I'm a virgin to my dates/women I hook up with? ? If I should, when do I bring it up? ? Should I lie to them if they ask why? Because it can be a heavy topic. I thought about not mentioning this at all ever, as part of me feels like I could hide it and act real suave in the moment, but part of me also feels like they would be able to tell right away. And ultimately, I don't want to come off creepy or weird in any way. Any advice would be much appreciated. Hoping you get and then some kind words. Thank you so much. It's signed, Unsought in T.
First of all, I feel like a late bloomer is a real light way to just gloss. Yeah. I'm a bit of a late bloomer. I had an arranged marriage within a small cult I was in. Okay, I thought you meant you didn't get boobs till you were 19. Okay.
I'm a bit of a late bloomer. I just got out of this bunker my dad's been locking me in. I'm 41.
Oh, no, I've been shaving since I was 12, but we've been doomsday preppers my whole life. So.
Yeah, you're not a late bloomer at all. You're a weird, quirky guy you have a weird, quirky
just
past.
Just a 30-year-old
sure.
virgin.
You sound super cool.
I mean,
Pretty
yeah,
well
honestly,
adjusted.
the way that was written, you sound realistic.
You sound super grounded.
So I would go one of 2 ways. A, sure, you could lose it to just some girl that you meet if you would rather. I think it's your decision if you want to say you're a virgin. Otherwise, I mean, get a prostitute. Or, sorry, a sex worker. Cut that out. I'm not canceled.
Is prostitute a slur now?
I don't know. But it's like, no shame in it. Sex work is like, we all support sex work now. And it's like, what's the big deal? Go on the internet. Find some shit you like.
Well, I think it's a little
high-class sex
risky
worker.
given how it's illegal.
It's not illegal everywhere.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's true.
I just feel
in
like
some
I would
places
have
you'd
to...
be breaking the law.
It would be like, so being a homeschooler, it was very hard for me to learn how to get drugs.
You're kind of a late bloomer in that way.
You all too were
I was going to say, I really relate to this question. I feel like I was having the same thoughts when I was like 19, because I looked up and the average age that women lose their virginity or lost their virginity back when I was 19 was at 17. And so I looked at that data and that bell curve and I said, I am the weirdest alien to ever exist.
So scientific of you.
Yeah, I'm so screwed. And ended up putting myself in dangerous positions to get out of it, and I don't recommend that. I definitely don't recommend, like, going after the goal of losing your virginity.
Yes.
Systematically. Yes. I recommend going after the goal of, like, hooking up and making out. You can do that. You can do that as much, and, like, get a lot of that under your belts.
And there's
then
like
think
so
of
many
sex as a
things you can
different
do
thing.
before you just like straight up have sex with somebody.
Yeah.
You don't just have to immediately go to Pound Town.
And if you are gonna have sex with that person, you gotta get pretty good at all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah,
There's prereqs, essentially.
yeah, yeah.
So I would say, should you tell people that you're a virgin? I think that you should
I think that's up
say
to
things organically as it comes up.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's it's like if you feel comfortable saying. I don't think it really has a like if people feel weird hooking up with somebody who's a virgin. I think that's kind of like their own bias. Like I feel like that's almost a societal bias. I don't think that should really matter. So I think it would just be up to if like you were comfortable telling somebody or if it came up, but I don't think you have to be like, before we do this, you're both just naked and you're like, before we go all the way.
It's not like telling someone that you have like herpes.
Yes,
It's like,
do tell them that.
yeah.
Before you're naked, you got to tell them that.
But here's the thing. I think it's more likely to come up, like if you're on a date with someone, at some point they're going to ask about your family, your childhood, your hometown, your
Yes.
friends, your friend group from even to up to a past year ago. So I would say that most likely that's going to come up first. And I totally get
Yes.
not wanting to ruin the vibe with your, horrific trauma that you've been through. So I would
You don't
say,
want to trauma dump either first date.
I would say a fun little like, okay, strap in. I got a pretty wild story. And to be clear, this isn't like sad or weird or anything.
Okay.
This is just how I was raised. And then
Yeah,
you go into
yeah.
I was in a cult and kind of like play up how like funny and absurd it is.
Yeah.
And that'll really put them at ease and they won't feel like it's weird or sad.
Yeah.
As long as like your tone is uplifted and like happy and having fun.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh yeah, this is just like a funny story.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could still sound sad and weird with an upbeat voice, probably.
True. And you don't need to get into the details. And I also
That's what I
probably
think. I think with everything, it's like, getting to lose your virginity one step at a time. And I think opening up about the full-blown cult, one step at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe you say a little bit. Maybe you just talk about your parents.
Yeah.
And then maybe the cult comes up next time.
A little bit, one step at a time, and then direct the conversation away and immediately begin asking them questions, because if you tell the whole story right away, their follow-up question is going to be like, oh, how recently was that? And you're going to be like, a year ago.
Ooh, sorry.
And no, you're fine. That is maybe something that they would be weird about.
Yes.
Because a year does feel very fresh.
Yes. And it's like when you're just meeting somebody, you're kind of asking questions like to be nice and be friendly and be like, is this person cool? You're not being like, am I going to be with this person forever? So like the whole story might scare people off way more than just being a virgin.
Yeah.
And I actually think, do we know if it's a man or a woman?
It's a man, 30-year-old man.
I feel like women are going to be way more receptive to
So true.
you being a virgin. I think, especially it's like if you feel comfortable with somebody and you are like, okay, I'm going to tell you this, and you tell them, I think they're going to be way more likely to be like okay with it and help you and kind of ease into it without it being like weird.
If you're a woman listener and you're in the same predicament, I would lie. I would honestly lie. Because the two responses you're going to get is like, ugh, or you're going to get a dude who's like, good.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I would go, so it's like you would switch. If you are a virgin and it's a woman, lie. But if you're not a virgin, it's a woman, also lie. See how that works out. And then let us know.
That would be so funny.
I'm a virgin. I feel like that was like a big Golden Girls joke. Did you ever watch Golden Girls? I used to love it when I was growing up. I used to watch Golden Girls all the time. And yeah, Blanche would always like act like she was a virgin. Like that was like her past story. She lost her virginity like 12 times. It was like this running joke or whatever.
I think it's so funny. For pretty much all of my like adolescent experience, I was always trying to pretend that I had more sexual experience than I did.
Yes.
And I one thing that's pretty common among homeschooled children, and it's not cool, but I did go through a phase of like compulsive lying because it was like very hard for me to understand how to keep up conversation naturally because people would be like telling stories or facts about themselves, and I didn't have any stories or facts about myself because nothing had happened to me. So I would often just like make up stories, and they were often very innocuous. It would just be like, yeah, I was at a water park with my friend. Honey, you have neither friends nor water parks. Like, but I would just tell a little story about like a weird thing that happened at a water park with my friend. But I would definitely do that with like sexual stuff. I was always lying. So when I heard that like body counts, that like women were like lying to pretend they were like less experienced, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. I will say I did something similar, but I did lose my virginity at what I think is too young of an age, and I was a late bloomer in real life. So I mean, I had a boyfriend that at the time, I mean, I looked 12. I was older than 12, but I looked 12, and my boyfriend had a full beard. I mean, we were in high school, but it was like, looking at it, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And so it's like, I wore like a ton of makeup. I would like try to like always dress older, and even looking back at photos, I felt like I looked like a really young person trying to look older. Like, that was the look. And so I would do the same thing. Like, my friends would hang out with boys from other schools, and I'm like, yeah, I know a boy from another school, you know? And I would just, like, use one of my brother's friends or something to, like, fill in names and gaps and stuff. And yeah, I feel like that's something you do to, like, try to keep up. And I just think that coming from two different places of, like, I feel like I lost it maybe too early. You know, it's like, it's not good at that point. And then maybe you feel like, oh, you know, I have to lose it now. It's too late. So it's like, I mean, is it even good at that point? So I think the most important thing is just finding somebody that you want to have sex with and you want to try things with. And then it's like, it'll all be good. It doesn't matter. And
in the real world, people take baby steps. Like, I feel like, and this is what I kind of thought when I was in a similar situation, like, had a very fundamentalist upbringing, so I just didn't know anything about sex logistically. And I was always like, oh, like, everybody's having sex right away, and it's, like, not true. It's way slower and more gradual than you would think. The way it happens in movies and TV is very unrealistic. So if you're kind of hanging back and you want to, like, kiss and take baby steps and, like, make out for a long time and not move forward, that's not going to set off any weird flags in their head. They're not going to have a second thought about it. They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, it's like a normal dude. Honestly, a lot of women would be like, wow, what an incredible change of pace.
We're like taking it slow.
Yeah. It's really romantic. I was going to say, when I was in high school.
Although I do bet, I mean, what is this, a 30-year-old guy? So, I mean, you're going to be rock hard. You're going to be making out with somebody rock hard, dude.
Compression underwear probably might work out.
So, yeah, maybe prepare for that. You're going to be touching a boobie rock hard. Everything you're doing, just remember that. Something to maybe plan for.
My first kiss, so my first date was with a dude. Me and my little high school friend started going to open mics. And one of the guys...
Wow, comedy open mics?
No, music open mics.
Okay.
And one of the guys...
You were just watching.
Music open mic. Yeah, we were just watching and, like, doing our homework.
I love that.
We were trawling for dick. She
For
got a
open
30-year-old
mic
boyfriend. Dick. I got a 24-year-old boyfriend. We were 17 and 16, to be clear.
Okay, wow, okay.
This guy's first text to me was, how old are you? Very romantic. He was a Special Forces soldier. And he took me on a date to an Italian place. And he was rich in my mind. We like went to nice dinner,
he
like
made
restaurants my parents couldn't afford.
$30,000 a year from the government, and they paid for his health insurance.
He had a Prius, and I was like, "This is a Tesla." But we had our first kiss at the end of our second date because I was like, if it goes on any longer, he's gonna know. He's gonna know I'm a child. And it was the most uncomfortable kiss of all time. I was trying to do like a Rory Gilmore kind of thing. Because I was like, I can sell that vibe for sure. Again, if you're
I'm just a bookworm.
If your kissing thoughts are about selling a vibe, you might be on the wrong track to begin with. But
maybe you're just not ready to be kissing.
Then later on, after our first kiss, he asked me if he was my first kiss. And I was like, no. I've kissed loads of guys.
Let me tell you what. Everybody wants to kiss me. I'm a very kissable gal.
Very believable.
And I regret that a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot more embarrassing than it would have been to be a 17-year-old who had her first kiss.
And then I feel like once you kind of cross that where you're like, you've lied, and now you're in the position, and now you are kissing, now you, like, have to act like, oh no, this is totally cool. I'm good with this. Like, I feel like once you're in that first lie, now you're in a bunch more lies when the next thing happens.
Yeah, dude. And it was like the rock hard thing. Every time I was kissing him, I was like blacked out because I was so stressed. I wasn't even having a good time. I was just so anxious about whether I was doing it right or not that I like didn't remember it. Because every time we were about to kiss, it felt like my first kiss again because I didn't have any like know-how.
Yeah. I remember one of my first kisses, my friends were like, I had like already said that we made out a bunch and we definitely didn't. And then they were like, no, you didn't. And so then I just turned around and made out with this guy. And it was like basically the first time I'd ever done that. And I was like, "Yo, this is weird." And then all my friends were like, okay.
That's kind of cool.
I had terrible friends, but yeah.
Yeah. But a cool story. You sound like a cool person in that story, I guess.
So I like proved I wasn't a liar even though I was 100% lying.
Nice. Okay, question 2.
Okay.
What is a good way to reapproach people you don't know super well but want to spend more time with? I have relatively new friends I see occasionally, but not outside of shared events like concerts. Wondering how to try to cross that bridge, as last time I went out, I was asked more than once, "Where have you been?" And the answer is just like, around, doing whatever, and not sure what they're doing. What is the next step to that? Was a bit awkward to have folks think I fell off the face of the earth when I'm just like a dude that's around. Signed, Fumbling with Friendship.
I feel like this is telling me that you're not texting anybody, though, and it's like you just need to text somebody.
That's the worst part of friendships as an adult is that you have to be texting a lot.
You just have to, like, reach out.
Texting rules the world. You have to be texting, and you have to be responding to their stories a lot, and that's how you get invited to stuff.
Yeah.
You just got to be the person who's, like, on it.
I remember when I was 21, I didn't have Facebook, and I turned 21, and my brother's like, get Facebook, people invite you to the bar. And then it totally worked. So it's like you just have to be, like, online and texting people. And sometimes I feel like, oh, they didn't invite me to that. And then I'm like, I haven't texted any of those people in 6 months. Like, I'm the worst texter. And so it's like, if you're not texting anybody, you're not going to get invited to anything.
Yeah, and also if you say no, like even a couple times, I stop inviting people because I can't take even a tiny bit of rejection. So if someone says no to me once, or like if I invite them, if I initiate a hang, I can't initiate the next hang because then it's like, I'm chasing you. I'm harassing you. I'm making you uncomfortable.
Yeah, people definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about, have you made a proper amount of effort?
Yeah. Or any, like literally any. If you haven't been invited to something in 6 months, have you done anything over that 6 months?
If you're a dude, the chances are like absolutely no way.
I don't think so.
This is actually so.
Doesn't even look at stories probably. It's just like at home, like, where is everybody?
Yeah. I had a boyfriend once who was like talking about like his friend hadn't come to visit him. He had moved, and his friend from his hometown like hadn't come to visit him. And he's like, I want him to, so bad. And it like came up a few different times. He was like, mm. And I was like, have you like made a plan with him? Told him that it would mean a lot if he visited? And he's like, well,
asked him to come stay with you or something.
Yeah, thrown out a weekend, perhaps. Put a date on the calendar.
Hey, I got a couch. That's
and
all I
so
have to say.
He was like, his birthday was coming up. So I messaged the friend, and I was like, hey, can you come down this weekend? And he was like, oh, that'd be awesome, like as a surprise. And then he sent me a picture of the flights he had booked. This all happened within 30 minutes.
All you had to do was ask.
Within 30 minutes. And
all you have to do is ask.
This is so crazy because men, their friendships are so easy, and they still refuse to do the like lowest possible level of.
Here's what you want to do. You want to get invited to shit? Start a group message.
Start a group
Message it at least once a week.
Come up
Send
with
a
an
funny
idea
meme.
of the thing you want to do together. You gotta be searching for trivia. You gotta find the trivia
Go
spots.
frolfing.
Go look up reviews of hikes. Send a hike to a group
Yeah.
chat.
Go to an outdoor brewery that has cornhole.
Yeah.
It's like literally bare minimum. Message somebody.
You gotta be the personal assistant of your own social life. Is that right or desirable? No. Obviously, it would be wonderful if we all lived in community centers where we could walk to each other's houses
Yes.
and share meals.
Where
That
you
would
would just
be
happen to see
fantastic.
everybody.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite things about comedy. You don't have to hang out with anybody. You just see them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, done.
And that's but here's the problem is that with comedy, if you don't see them, like if you stop doing comedy for like a month or something, or if you're just
Yeah.
like out of town a lot randomly, all of a sudden those relationships are like, you know.
But then you have more to talk about.
Yeah, that's true. You just in this day and age, 2023, you got to be a little business minded about it.
Yeah.
You got to be texting.
You got to have a marketing strategy for your hangs.
You got to be scheduling stuff. And
But it's
coming up
like
with
very
ideas.
easy, so I feel like this is one you probably could have answered on your own.
Subtle and sly. Yeah. Texting and replying to stories.
Yeah, replying
Don't
to
forget
stories, stuff
replying
like
to stories.
that.
Think about how many people post stories. And every time someone posts a story, that's someone shouting to everyone they've ever met, please say something to me.
Literally leave a comment that goes, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so cool. Leave
Yeah.
one of those comments. I bet they text you. It's so easy.
It's so easy. Okay. My ex stole. Oh, sorry. Next question.
Number 3.
My ex stole my sex playlist on Spotify. IDK if this is really a question, but for context, I have a sex playlist on Spotify, curated and horny as hell. I was with my ex for about 2 years, and after we broke up, doing the natural stalk your ex deal, I saw she had copied the entire contents of that playlist, song for song, onto her own account. We are trying to remain friends IRL, and we hang out semi-often. And she's also one of my friends on Spotify, so I can see when she's listening to it. What do? Should I confront her about it? Block and unfollow? Is this a normal thing? Currently creating a new sex playlist that's even hornier, but fucking other people to the exact same music that we shared seems gross and weird. But IDK if I should feel validated that it is in fact a bangin' playlist. Any advice would be appreciated. Signed, 1-900 Problems.
If you're friends on Spotify, you can see when somebody else is listening to something.
If they have their settings public, which I haven't since I went through a bin folds phase 2 years ago. I was like, we'll clear that right up. But I sometimes, when I had a crush, I used to unprivate my Spotify, and I would like have a little listening session where I queued up songs I thought they would like really respect. And Georgia, I'm so
I totally
sorry.
get that mindset, though. I've totally pretended to like music that I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. You know what's funny is people that I always thought was cool. My brother has great taste in music. I'm just like not very musical. Never had like that. I love dance music. I love EDM. Like I love shit like that. And so like whenever I wanted somebody to think I was cool, I would just like wear one of my brother's band shirts, and then they'd be like, oh, I love that band. And I'm like.
It turns out every man you've ever had a crush on is actually gay for your brother.
Yeah. Well, you know, talking to me for a couple minutes, you could probably find out I didn't listen to that music. So
My problem is that I don't have taste. I like any old tune. It's very rare for me to hear music and be like, bad music.
Yeah.
I like all the fun stuff that the girls sing about. I like all the sad stuff that the boys sing about.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
I mostly just don't like country. I definitely used to. There was a time that I liked country. I just don't like it. In like my whole adult life, I haven't liked it.
I like older country, not
But-
like alt-right country or anything.
I had a boyfriend in high school who loved country, so I was like, yeah, I love country too. So,
It's the easiest thing to just pretend to like.
Yeah.
Because there's not too much
and it's not that I don't like it. It's just like I'm not gonna memorize the band's names and I'm not going to memorize all the lyrics. And I feel like that was how they would judge if you, like, really liked it or not. And I'm like, you're telling me I got to learn the lyrics of these songs? If you can't sing along.
And I'll tell you right now, that's actually not how to prove. So again, being homeschooled and wanting people to think that I was, like, exposed to culture, I would memorize the lyrics of, like, cool songs of, like, bands. This is, like, the era when, like, Vampire Weekend was what cool people listened to. And
I like Vampire Weekend. I've seen them live.
And I would, like, sing along to be like, see, I know what's going on. I know it's pretty cool. Ultimately, if you're in a group setting and Vampire Weekend's playing and, like, one kind of, like, mousy girl is a little chubby, is, like, singing along to the lyrics, you're like, why the fuck are you singing?
I just have to say that to a homeschooler from a public schooler, I feel like we had very similar mindsets, but the difference is you put in the work. And I was like, I'm not putting in the work.
And that's how you were cool. And I was like, fuck, at every turn, my work. Truly, I have always felt like the more I try to accomplish something, the further it is out of my grasp. I can only ever accidentally get something.
I mean, I think eventually somebody just ends up liking what you're really like, and then you're like, oh, I did it. It's like, no, it's just, you just finally met
Think about
somebody.
how much sooner it would have happened. Okay.
Okay, I feel like this guy, though, needs to be happy.
X stole his sex playlist, and I'll tell you what, I have a secret theory. This is definitely a lesbian.
Okay.
100%. I would stake
Okay.
$200 on the idea.
I think every time you have good sex with somebody, though, you, like, take something from it, and you carry that with you to, like, your next partner. I mean, is that not? That's how
ideally not.
That's how
but
you learn.
Frequently, yes.
That's how you learn
Planned
what you
Parenthood
like and what
exists.
other people might like, and I mean, that's how you learn. And so, you just had a banging playlist, and they took it with them to their next endeavor. And I think maybe just don't follow them so closely on Spotify. You kind of seem like you're really looking.
I am not a music during sex person. One time I was hooking up with a girl, and only girls have ever done this to me. And she put on a sex playlist, and she's like, this is a really good sex playlist.
And she called it that?
And I was like,
I would not
it's
like
The
that.
Weeknd. Like,
Right.
we both have curly red hair. Do you think I'm fucking you like The Weeknd?
I was homeschooled, so I don't know if we need
you imagine?
Pretty Ricky on right now, but okay.
I have floral wallpaper. You think I'm gonna fuck you like The Weeknd?
I definitely don't like calling it a sex playlist. I would be
Definitely
like,
not.
I'll just put music on. That's
Yeah.
fine. But I do not being like, this is a banger to bang to. I don't like that. That's too much of the marketing strategy we talked about before. You want to market to hang out. You don't want to market for sex.
Yeah. Put on a regular style playlist with regular style songs.
Yeah, this is just music I like. Click, you can turn it on, and it's like great. And if it's The Weeknd, great. But once you call it a sex playlist, then I'm like, this is what you think is a sex playlist?
I hooked up with a dude once who put on Kate Bush before we had sex. But the thing is that I felt confident and good because I can't fuck you like The Weeknd, but I can absolutely fuck you like Kate Bush.
He nailed the vibes there. Just like the This Is Kate Bush radio on Spotify. This will be good.
No, it was a curated, his favorite Kate Bush tunes. Okay, so your ex stole your playlist. I would say step one, you gotta not be following your ex on Spotify.
Yeah.
You have gotta unfriend that person on Spotify.
Yeah.
You're trying to be friends in real life. If she ever brings up for some ungodly reason that
Yeah.
you're no longer friends on Spotify, you would just be like, yeah, I didn't think it was good for our friendship for me to be able to see when you're having sex. You know?
No, because then this person's going to take that statement and they're going to have it cocked and loaded for
Ah,
as
you're
soon
so
as they
right.
say anything, they're going to be like, yeah, well, I know when you're having sex. I see the playlist.
Put your Spotify on private and don't
Yeah.
look at the column where it shows what your friends are listening to. Don't look at it.
And what does it matter
Spotify's
if you
not a
guys are
social
friends on
media platform.
Spotify? If you
Yeah.
guys are friends in real life, you don't have to be friends on Spotify.
Second of all, if you're feeling weirdness about your ex taking your spot, like sex Spotify playlist, there's like a level of irrationality and silliness to that feeling
Yeah.
that to me really betrays that you don't seem like you're ready to be friends with them.
Yeah.
Feels like you're like not over them.
Yeah.
And I think you should cool off the friendship a little bit.
Yeah.
You can have a very loose friend, have an acquaintanceship with your ex
Yeah.
before you have a friendship with them. Have months of distant friendship.
Yeah.
If you're a lesbian, it's probably because you have like a lot of mutuals and grouping, and you just so badly want to be like, I'm totally chill about this. I'm not worried at all.
And
But,
the
like,
fact that they're like, I'm making an even better, sexier,
even hornier.
romanticer
This playlist is rock hard. This playlist is exploding with
playlist-
jizz.
Just a playlist called "Come" on Spotify. Nailed it.
Hey, send me the link to the playlist. First of
Yeah,
all,
I would love to
first
hear
and
it.
foremost. Yeah.
But I think you nailed that. That it's like if you're upset they're using it, then you're not really over it.
Is this a normal thing? I would say that answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Georgia said, you take things with you. You
Yeah.
take your moves.
Imagine what else they're doing. I don't know. Only you would know that. But
You're just trying to like destroy their mental state.
well, I just feel like if you're this precious about a sex playlist, then you also think that you have like a signature move,
Yeah.
and they're probably doing that too. So you might as well get over it and onward.
There are like 10 signature moves total. It's more like a zodiac sign than a signature move, really.
Yeah, but not everybody believes they have the signature move. So
Yeah.
there's also a one specific zodiac sign that believes they have a signature move.
Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Okay.
I struggle a lot with natural sounds like eating. If someone chews their food particularly loud or slurps a drink, it can range from irritating to deeply uncomfortable depending on the day. I completely recognize that this is a personal problem and that there's nothing wrong with making noise while you eat. My partner and I live together, and I will occasionally comment on it. Or if I'm having a particularly difficult time with it, I'll sometimes eat in another room or at another time to avoid the negative feelings. I don't really think it would be fair or sound sane at all to ask my partner to not make specific noises, especially when some aren't voluntary. I would know, sometimes I make these noises myself. But I also don't want to hurt their feelings by leaving the room on particularly bad days. Any advice? Signed, Melancholy Misophoniac. That's
I
what it's
also
called,
hate
misophonia.
that. When people eat, the sound of people eating.
Here's my question. Do you hate it across the board, or do you hate it like some people sounds more than other people's sounds?
I do hate it across the board. I think you have to be a certain amount of loud for me to hear. I will just... Nick and my mom, oh my God. I know my mom's going to listen to this, but oh my God. I just feel like I can hear them eat, and I'm like, what's going on here? But it does drive me crazy, and I think there is a thing, like it's a real thing that it drives some people crazy.
Totally.
Because I feel like my mom used to get upset that I would get so irritated, but I'm like, this is like a real thing. Like, it also drives me crazy when, Nick, who I love, who I married, eats so loud sometimes. I'm like, I can't take this. But now I just turn on music or we'll like turn on a TV show or something. You just can't eat in silence.
I definitely feel like for me it's family members. And that I would always feel bad for that. Because if I go out to eat with dinner with friends, it's like, no problem, dude. But then family members, it's like...
At a restaurant, do you really hear your friends eating, though?
No, but like
feel
if
like
my
I
friend was
hear it
just
at
chatting
home.
with me and like chomping on something, they'll be like, it's no big deal.
If they were talking and chewing at the same time, that would drive me nuts.
Well, yeah, okay. Anyone who's
Sometimes I
talking and
swear,
chewing.
sometimes I swear people in my family take a bite of food and then start a story. And I'm like, why did you do it in that order?
My family has so much mouth open chewers that one time I told my nephews that if they didn't learn how to chew with their mouth closed, it was going to inhibit them like making friends when they got to school and stuff. And then I taught them some useful tools. I was like, remember? And they learned to chew with their mouth closed. Hasn't been a problem since.
Yeah.
It does really bother me.
I mean, it drives me crazy. Sometimes I'll even see my dad will put food in his mouth. This is going to drive him crazy if they listen to this, but they'll put food in their mouth, and then I swear he'll just push it into his cheek. And then, like, say something, and then go back to chewing, and I'm like, you couldn't wait to put it in your cheek? Like, you're not even enjoying it at this moment. It's just crazy to me.
You gotta separate yourself before you get upset. So just train yourself.
I feel like playing music really helps.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to make it so you can't hear it. So playing music, we'll turn on a TV show, something like that.
if you're like enjoying spending time with your partner and you're gonna like chat over dinner, that's one thing, and it probably won't come up in that case. Usually when
Yeah.
this comes up is like you're trying to focus on other things, or you're having a stressful day and you're just like taking a quick break to eat.
Or it's just like silent.
Yeah. So in those cases, just eat in another room and be on your phone.
Sometimes I'll even be like, see, I would just never eat in another room. I just
Well,
play
you live in a
something.
studio, don't you?
Well, yeah, so I guess I'd have to, like, go eat on the toilet. But, like, sometimes Nick will start chewing so loud that I'm like, hang on, don't take another bite. And then I have to, like, go get Spotify set up.
Yeah.
And so then we'll play music so that I can't hear him. And it doesn't bother me, like, chips and regular crunchy stuff doesn't bother me. It's mostly when there's, like, some kind of liquid in it. It's, like, a softer thing, and you can just, like, hear it swishing. Ugh.
I really hate the sound of when someone's like really fucking going to town on food and they start breathing like they're like exercising. It's like I
feel that way when I eat ice cream sometimes.
breathing sounds really get to me.
Yeah, breathing sounds.
Well, so long story short, it is normal. Go to another room. Try to head it up before you're annoyed so that you don't hurt your partner's feelings.
Yeah.
And it's your job to do whatever you need to do.
And I would try some kind of noise thing because, to be honest, as a partner, I feel like you just keep saying go in the other room. And as a partner, I would be like, you're just going to separate yourself from me? I would be so mad if we're like eating dinner and you're like, I'll be eating in the living room.
I feel like
And
I
now
would
you're
be
both
like-
eating alone.
I would be like, finally, some goddamn peace and quiet. and I get to be on my phone.
That's the real. You just want to be looking at your phone the whole time.
Any given moment of any day,
Yeah.
I want to be on my phone.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Georgia, what do you have coming up if this episode comes out in like a couple weeks?
If it comes out in a couple weeks, so like in September, I'm going to be in Washington, in Spokane, and then Tacoma, opening for Dusty Slay at the Tacoma and Spokane comedy clubs. And in Colorado, well, I always have a bunch of local stuff coming up that you can find on my Instagram, at George's Wild. I'll be opening up for Dan Soder at the Boulder Theater on October 7th, so you can come to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very fun. And I have all of my ticket dates and everything at Hannah Jones Cool on Instagram. Thank you and have a great day.